Okay, here we go.
Have a nice swim. It's covering it.
Go, man.
Toxic waste. It's all ours.
Oh, that's bad. Four-way combo, though, guys. Four-way. Four! Haven't got one of those in a long time. I don't know if that's my timing bad or why that is, but it's been a while since I've done a four-way. Ooh, there we go. It went. I didn't think it was going to. I really didn't think it was going to go.
Oh, man. Quick, multi-ball.
Get up there! Get up there!
Go, man. Look, darling, just what we've been searching for.
That's the spirit thing. Lend a hand.
Oh. Airball. Airball. Alright. Keep it going. Keep it going. Calm it down. There we go. Into the shot.
6 million.
Missed the starlight. And drained. Good ball. Good ball. Very good ball. Happy with that.
Keep the ball. I have a whole
Whole bucket full.
Green. Straight to the vault. Let's go, Bing. Well played, Bing. You're really on the ball. Raise the dead out to the cemetery. Come on, everybody.
Go, man.
Oh! Can't believe I did that. It's a good game until then. I'm gonna get an extra ball in a minute. If all goes well. Yeah, alright, so that's good. That makes up for that last pop.
Now you've done it.
Oh, lost that ball already. Lost that ball already. That sucks.
Why, thank you, Bing.
I hate the sandstorm. Get the extra ball! Extra ball! Hey viewer, how are you?
No.
Just popped back on after streaming for a couple hours with some friends, and myself just played some Addams Family. I still had the machines on. Had a pretty good game. I got come on, go up that ramp. Had a pretty good game, actually.
It's old man. It's not plugged in yet.
Wow. Was having a good game until a minute ago.
Go,
It's
man.
just all over the place. Yep, and in there, right? So that's technically ball 3, but I got 2 balls back because I got to double shoot again.
Well played. Shoot again.
So let me see, where did I score at? Yeah, I know 731 is the highest. I'm only 154. I mean, it's not as good a game as I thought it was going to be. I did get a 4-way combo, which I usually don't get.
Old man.
Something usually happens in the middle of that I can reliably get a 3-way, but getting the 4-way combo on this machine is not that easy for me. I mean, I'm not a tournament player by any means, so it makes it. And on this game in particular, I kind of have my shot sequences set up. You know, hit the train ramp hard enough so it goes into the swamp, pull out of the swamp, hit it up to that, and I can do this kind of reliably and hit both ramps and do that.
We'll get you.
But 4-way combo is, wow, I can't believe I made that shot. 4-way combo is not something that I have in my repertoire, right? And, because it's not a shot sequence that I'm used to doing. Oh, so,
Fumes, toxic waste.
kind of proud of that. I don't get those often. I have gotten 99, bear ramp shots before.
Let's go, Bing.
Which is another thing. 99 bear ramps is something that a lot of other people who have this machine tend to try to strive for. Is those shots. Oh, wait. Damn it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One of them seance. Yeah, no way I'm going to tour the mansion on this one.
The ball. I
Let's just
have
see
the
that
whole
happening.
bucket full.
I already did the first multi-ball. The next one would be the... Oh, well, the next one, it's over. The next multi-ball would have been the... it has to warm up so it can kill you one.
Rest in peace.
Didn't get there, unfortunately. But that's okay. Okay, great feedback on the. I'll fix that right after I drain this ball.
Go, man.
Yeah, I think someone moved the mic earlier. Let me know if this is better. I'm going to turn down the game audio a little bit. It was a little close to the speakers. It's probably about right. Let me know if that's a little bit better. I wasn't saying anything important anyways. You know, really just talking about how I can never get a four-way combo on this machine. And got one in that last game. And I think it's just partly because it's not in my shot sequence. I've got sequences set up in here that I know if I hit this way, it's going to land me here, it's going to go here. But the four-way combo is just not one that I ever get. Okay, great. Thanks. Thanks for coming on and making some comments. I hope the audio's better. I'm going to probably be streaming quite a bit. I've got a few machines. I decided to start streaming the Addams Family just because it's basically the most popular machine ever made, and everybody kind of identifies with it and plays it and understands the shots and understands some of the way that it drains and challenges. You know, thanks for letting me know that the audio was bad. Mike got twisted around when I went on break. I streamed for 3 hours earlier today. Had some friends over. 4 of us were playing this, and I'm probably gonna play this for the rest of this week on stream, and then move the streaming rig over to my Sopranos, and then work my way down through Funhouse and some of the other ones I have. Some of the other ones I have are lesser known games, so I'm gonna have to spend some time explaining the shots and rules to people, but I think that'll be fun as well. Yeah, outlined on me again. I tend to be a person who likes to interact. You know, I do a lot of video game streaming as well as board game streaming and things, and I like interacting in chat and things. That's why I like live streaming. So, damn, that went in and went out. But I am not a competition or tournament pinball player at all. I'm really a casual home player. Friends, you know, friends come over and play, and so I had my poker crew. I might actually stream poker. We have a poker game at my house every 2 weeks. Might stream that live. But I gotta figure out how I can show everybody's cards without compromising anybody at the table. So that's gonna be interesting. Up there. Thank you. Missed both of those jackpot shots, and then I drained that one. I can usually reliably hit that shot too. Yeah, if anybody was tuned in earlier, you probably would have seen the worst games of pinball ever. I had some of my poker friends over who are not pinball players to play on the stream and just kind of chat and hang out, and numerous games that were less than 1 million points out of those friends. Yeah, lesser known, the better love oddball machines. Yeah, thanks for the follow there. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a ton of oddball machines, but I have machines that I don't think people stream. I don't have a lot of Stern in my house, and I don't have a Jersey Jack. So, most of my machines are a mixture of you know, 90s machines and earlier. And so, you know, like Funhouse is a fantastic game, another Pat Lawler playfield. People love it, but you just don't see a lot of them. And so I think it'll be fun streaming that. You know, I've got a Sopranos, which is the only Stern machine I have. It's, you know, 2005, so it's the older system. That was a lucky, much lucky shot. But I have some older Gottliebs. I have 2 electromechanical and 2 solid-state Gottliebs down here. And I also have a PIN 2000 cabinet with both playfields. So I have Star Wars Episode 1 and Revenge from Mars. So, and those are machines that I've never really seen streamers stream and play. So, I'm gonna start doing that. The Star Wars Episode 1 cabinet, the PIN 2000 cabinet with Revenge from Mars, is actually upstairs in my dining room. And so, basically just because we were too lazy when we bought it to move it down here to the arcade in the basement. And so I've got to get a new streaming tripod that's on order. It should be here soon. To even be able to stream that. And then I'm worried about how the stream is going to look with the glass reflection. So I got to perfect and do some trials on that. So it'll probably be a couple months before I get to that, unless I reprioritize. Streaming all these ones down here is easy. I can just move them, re-level them, and be done with it. I still have to say, Addams Family, you know, people criticize this machine because it was so popular that, you know, real pinball players don't love it as much as the casual players. I love this game. I mean, part of it's because this was the machine that was in the bowling alley where I grew up, you know, when I was in high school and college. High school, no, that was bad. High school more than college, but, you know, this came out in 91. I was in high school, and this was at the bowling alley down, you know, that I used to go to on Saturday nights for rock and bowl, and, you know, the glow bowling type thing, and just, I loved the way that it was laid out, loved the theming of it, and, you know, as a teenager, the multi-ball was a thing that was achievable on this machine, where so many machines prior to this, for the average player, the multi-ball wasn't really an achievable thing. And I think that was the other thing that I loved about this game. I'm having problems with this chair. I put Cliffy protectors on this machine, and I to really protect this playfield, because it's the original playfield, and this wasn't a home use only machine. So this playfield's, oh, come on, stay in. Oh, there we go. You love Star Wars Episode 1. I love that game too. I love Revenge from Mars. I've got them both, and I got both play fields for the same cabinet. And the computer in the PIN 2000 has been replaced with one of those new core systems. So it's really easy to change the game you're playing. It's literally in the software startup. And so, you know, I can literally change back and forth between the two. Oh, God, I can't believe that just happened. Let me see what else you said. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars Episode 1 is a really fun game, and it's when I have kids at the house, they seem to be drawn to that. With the lightsaber and all of that. And the modes in that are really easy for kids and people to understand. So, but those PIN 2000s, I'm surprised that you have a league space that has one. Those PIN 2000 cabinets are not that common. There weren't too many made, and with the monitor in it, a lot of pinball league places don't really want them, because you've got the tube in there, unless they change it out to, mine's been changed out to a flat panel. I need to set up a monitor to, Yeah, you know, and it's funny you say that about Addams Family. Yeah, in a league setting, it really is. It's too long of a game, and the points, shots, and depending which chip you have in it, really makes it a weirdly scoring game. And the game's really about, you know, extra balls and things, which a lot of tournament play isn't good at. But I feel that same way about my Sopranos machine. My Sopranos machine, it's a great game to play, but it is so long. To the point that if you're playing it multiplayer, it's sometimes 10 minutes between balls, you know? Someone can have a 10-minute run on a Sopranos machine. My machines are set to be pretty... They don't get a lot of use, so they don't... this one's actually starting to adjust a little bit. But, you know, most of my friends are I wouldn't even call them casual pinball players. They're really beginners. And so I have them set so that, you know, that they get a good score and they get a good play time on a ball if they can keep the ball from draining. And I'm, you know, as I was saying in the stream the other day, you know, I'm not... pinball is a sport now, and I don't consider myself part of that sport because I don't do any competitions. You know, it's more of a hobby for me. That score was pathetic, by the way. Just gotta say that out loud. So, you know, for me, it's this is just a hobby. You know, I originally went to college to be an electrical engineer, so all I've ever done in my career is software, so it uses all of those skills. I like it a lot. I like making computers do manual things, and then that, of course, happens again. So I get a lot out of it. But it is, for me, it's very much a hobby, and I don't feel that I'm really into the sport. Although I do go to conventions where they do a lot of competitions, but I don't really participate in them. And I think part of that's because I don't, where I live, I don't have access to all the games. There is a competition place in my hometown here. I live in Nashua, New Hampshire, right on the Massachusetts state line, and there's Southern New Hampshire has a pinball league. They have a space with 30 or plus machines in it. A lot of older EM stuff, which I'm kind of happy about, but you know, it's not really, you know, my passion. Why haven't I gone the tournament route? You know, I just haven't found a group of people that well, there's a couple of reasons. So, I'm currently unemployed, so I have a lot more time now. That's why I've been streaming a lot and doing a lot of other stuff. But normally when I have a job, it's usually really hard to get to the tournament stuff reliably, you know. And at the moment, I could do a weekly tournament. They do a Wednesday knockout, and they do a another tournament day. It might be Mondays, I don't remember. Part of it is also because I've never really considered myself a good pinball player, because it is just a hobby. But I don't know. I think in a couple of years I'll figure it out. I think what I need to do is get comfortable with the genre of machines that tend to be at the pinball tournaments in my area, which tend to be newer Stern machines. And, you know, I watched a friend of mine who is a pinball tournament player get his ass kicked on a Iron Man machine once. That machine is just mean, by the way. And as a result, I never truly got into it after that. I probably will at some point. Come on, I can't. Wow, give me. Yeah, thank you. Hold that. Come on, why can't I hit a jackpot shot to save my life on this one? Oh, there it is. Drained both balls after it, but. $45 million. Another pathetic score. No. Guess I haven't been playing enough lately. Am gonna be at Pintastic New England in the end of June. Gonna probably bring 4 of my pins to sell/trade. 2 of my electromechanicals that I've done a restoration on in forms of electronics, that it's working 100%, and you know, did the flippers over, did everything that needed to be done, but I have not done the playfield art or touched up the back glass or the cabinet, because it's not really what I do. I should have pushed that. Let me read what you said. People in the cult. I like that. Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think part of it was also when I found out, I was on the board of directors and helped incorporate a maker hacker space, and I was really involved in that, doing electronics, and we had an auto shop and a wood shop and all of that there. And the problem there was I stopped enjoying going there because I was kind of management and you know, as the treasurer especially, constantly looking over the numbers and the books and all of that, and stopped enjoying why I went there originally, which was to collaborate with people. So when they started the space in Nashua for pinballs, I talked to them, and some of the people were the same, and they were like, oh yeah, you know, we could really use some of your help with the you know, getting incorporation documents and stuff done to become a non-profit and this and that, and it instantly turned me off, because I was like, yeah, it's gonna be another full-time job. That being said, that was 5 years ago, so you know, that was 5 years ago, so I'm sure if I went now, I could basically say, yeah, I don't want to have anything to do with politics of anything, I just want to be here to play. And they would they'd probably welcome me with open arms. So it's something I should think about, is getting involved with the local tournament group and seeing what they've got going on. They've got some nice machines. Only about 3 Sterns. The rest of them are a mishmash of everything, but they have some good EMs. I probably could have saved that one. They do have a Doodle Bug, which I think is a really cool game. Yeah, I became work and not hobby and fun. Yeah, I'm still at it. I took a break for a little bit when my company was leaving. They so you know, I streamed for about 3 hours earlier with the 3, and then my friend Chuck came over and his fiance Karen, and then took a break for a little bit of food and back at it again. I still got some energy. It's time is it? It's about 1 o'clock my time, and not tired yet. Megan's upstairs winding down for the night because she has to work in the morning, but I don't. I have a poker game here tomorrow that I might stream, but I'm still trying to figure out how I would stream live poker. I have a feeling it would be dreadfully boring for anybody watching it unless you knew what was in the hands. And I don't have 6, you know, webcams to use as whole cameras. So I gotta figure out how I would do that. I may spend some time thinking about that tomorrow. I have a nice poker table that I bought a few years ago. Nice as in it's got speed cloth on it, and it's kidney shaped with you know, with the drop boxes on the side and the little chip tray in front of the dealer. That being said, I think it was a whopping $700 on Amazon delivered. So, but I did put like a $600 card shuffler in it to make the dealer's job easier, which is cool. I'm not staying there. There we go. And so, you know, with the table the way it is, I you know, I do tinker with Raspberry Pis and things like that. I do have some Raspberry Pis with cameras in them, and I'm not sure if I could figure out a way to configure those to be mounted under the cable so that I could have... Ah, come on, stay in there. Yeah. Wait for these magnets to shut off for a second. So yeah, I would have to figure out a way to get the yeah, I would have to figure out a way to get cameras so that the stream could see them. I may spend a little time trying to figure out something and, I don't know, maybe make a poor man's solution, you know, or something. Ugh. I hate when it just bounces out like that. So I'm gonna put some thought into that tomorrow when after I wake up and after I make meatballs. My wife bought meat. Our local grocery store that she likes to go to has mixed pork, hamburger, and sometimes lamb in it as well. Kind of a meatloaf meatball mix. And it tends to go on sale 2 for 1, and when that happens, she tends to buy 4 packs of it. So because she likes my meatballs, and so there are 4 packs of it in the refrigerator that have been there since last Monday. So I don't know how much longer that meat's gonna last. So I have to do that tomorrow. But I might move all of the streaming gear now that I kind of know how to set it up where I want it. And try to stream some poker tomorrow. See how that goes. See if that's fun. I think people would like the interaction, especially once, although my friends Rocky and Laura won't be here tomorrow, the interaction with people, and I really think if we put the dealer having a monitor, so the dealer could see the stream, and because the dealer's not going to play in this case, I think poker players would, if I set up the stream correctly and got the right people, would really enjoy us making fun of each other, as well as them being able to, in chat, make fun of us as well. Like, why did you stay in with that hand, you idiot, Jillian? So I think it might be fun. But again, I haven't figured out how I'm going to show the cards. Oh my god, would you just go in? These damn magnets are killing me. Alright, forget it. I'm not going for the... I'm not going to go for the chair. I'm going to go for the vault. Although I should have just went for the chair there. Alright, that sucked. Yeah, nice talking to you as well. Thanks for the like, and we'll see you soon. Love to chat with you some more. Yeah, I know, everybody doesn't stay up past 1 a.m., huh? Kind of weird. I'm really a night owl, so... I gotta get these magnets to shut off by making one of these 2 damn shots, and this is the longest I think I've gone in a long time. Oh, that should have went in! Oh, that one went in. Alright, now I feel better. I still haven't had it has to warm up so it can kill you tonight either. I did have a 4-way combo, which I never get because I'm not that great. Come on, keep it in, keep it in. Yeah, I'll hit the jackpot when I'm damn good and ready. When I can get a ball into the right spot finally. Lost one. Hate it. Come on. Up there. Get in there. Well, that's over. Wow, that was horrible multi-ball. You know, one of one of the shots I normally make is to tilt. One of the shots I normally make for this is I try to get this one and try to shoot it right up to the extra ball ramp and lock it in for thing. And then when it pops out, I can reliably hit it with the side flipper up one of those two, either the train or chute or the second staircase there. But I just couldn't do it. That sucked. It's usually not that bad. So I don't know how other streamers do it, but I've just got one of these little cameras sitting on the play field. And I'm imagining that's going to be distracting. I need to get this tripod to get this fixed. My friend Ingrid earlier, she's a very novice player, and honestly just came over and hang out because I had posted to Facebook saying anybody wants to come over and play pinball tonight, and I'm going to be streaming, let me know, come on over. And so her and her husband Mike came over, and Mike's a pretty good player. They actually lived here for a little while when their house was getting built. Because they needed a place where they could have their dogs, and most hotels don't like dogs, or if they do allow dogs, they charge an arm and a leg to have them. So they had told me it was going to be like $5,000 or $6,000 a month in rent at one of these extended stays that allowed pets, and I was just like, you can just live here with me, I get an extra room. I didn't even really care that it was longer than it should have been. They were great house guests. They were fantastic. And so they actually came over tonight because I have one of those fancy dancy massage chairs, and Mike's back was hurting, and she was like, we had an ulterior motive, but we'll play pinball too. But she can reliably, from this flipper on my machine here, hit the bear ramp. And she just got it. And I told her, I said, if you could master that, you'll win the game. Because if you hit the bear ramp enough, it spots it, and eventually you'll hit wizard mode. She's gotta practice. But I was, of the four of us that played tonight, I think we played 10 or so games. And I think I only lost one or two of them. It was due to bad table balls. You know how it goes. It's a thing. Like that. So yeah, I think the next one I'm going to stream is probably Sopranos. I'm probably going to do that next week. And by next week, it could be as early as Monday, because if I do tear this down to try to stream poker, my poker game tomorrow night, I probably will set it back up over the Sopranos and give this machine a rest. I want to do Funhouse, because I think people would really like the stream on Funhouse. It's not a game a ton of people have. It's not a game that a lot of pin spots have, just because there was so much to maintain in it. But at the moment, I'm having a problem with the trapdoor mechanism, and I have not found... what I really want to do is just replace the whole assembly underneath it. But I haven't found the parts I needed. Marco doesn't even have them in stock. They haven't for a while. And I can't actually figure out what the problem is. I think something's bent. I'm not sure. But really, the only people who have Funhouse now are big barcades, and homes. I mean, a lot of people love the game. It's in homes now. I paid a little too much for mine, I think, for the condition it was in. I paid $4,000 for it a couple years ago, which I didn't think was that bad. But it's not in the greatest condition. It looks like it's in excellent condition. Like, you look at the machine and you could swear it's a home use only. but someone put some Mylar on it, and it's not put down well, and as a result, it's crap. So, and it doesn't really affect the gameplay at all. It's really, I know, I should be looking at the camera instead of looking at the machine, huh? But the problem is really is they put a Mylar down on it, and then put back on the plastic components to hold the, like around the pop bumpers, not the pop bumpers, but the slingshots. And when they put down the plastic crowns to put the rubbers on before they put the plastics on, they tightened them too much, and so it crinkled around the base, and it just doesn't look good. And so it's not in the shape that I thought it was. And I'd be willing to bet the cabinet's been touched up. But it's been touched up well, and it's not a decal, you know, it's not a fake decal, it's the original. So it hasn't been completely ripped down. Let me see. Yeah, so let me see what we should. Yeah, and War, yeah, this was the most popular machine ever made. They made like 22,000 or something, Addams Family. And yeah, this is the machine that I fell in love with, Pinball with, just because of, you know, you had the games before this one and before Funhouse. The late 80s games, they just weren't that great. At least electromechanical ones. And so when you came into the 90s and you had these machines that were designed by Pat Lawler, they really did knock it out of the park. And so people really did start enjoying them. And so they became really popular. And this was the one that it was themed so well after the movie, and the movie was popular when it came out. And people just really identified with it and liked it a lot. And so it sold like gangbusters. I can't believe I just lost that ball. Get up this room. I want you on that floor. I want you right there. Oh, I can't believe I just did that. Oh, well. I know to be careful. You don't have to tell me to be careful. I'm going to look at chat in a second after I drain this ball. I'm going to put a monitor off to the side here so I'm able to read chat. But I have to go grab that monitor and find the cable, the HDMI cable to hook it up with. But if I do decide to stream poker tomorrow, I'm going to need it, so... Because the laptop screen's not going to do it. Extra ball. Let me see what we got. Yeah, you're saying that instead of a faded, dinged-up cabinet, you'd rather have it touched up. Yeah, no, I agree, but you know, restoration's an interesting topic with me. So my wife and I have you know, I grew up where my parents were auctioneers, actually, and they were antique auctioneers. And so I found a lot of beauty in as-found condition. You know, especially when in the 80s and things, reproductions were so all over the place that I always said, you know, the originals are supposed to be dirty. They're supposed to be ugly. If I wanted one that looked brand new, like it just came out of the box, I'd buy a reproduction. And so I kind of have some of that same sentiment here on pinball machines. I want these to work perfectly. I want them to work just as if they were new. But, you know, the dings, dents, and bruises are character at the end of the day, right? And so I tend to leave things as I find them. So I don't touch up play fields. I don't touch up cabinets. I don't touch up back glass. But I have friends who do, and you know, it's kind of a personal preference. But I kind of agree with you. If something's so far gone, you might as well just you know, do a good restoration on it and try to bring it back to life. You know, and I have no problem replacing playfields, though, interestingly enough. A lot of people talk about that, and they say, well, it's not an original playfield. Well, you know, the aftermarket playfields are just as good as original playfields. And so I have a feeling that when this playfield comes to the point, which I don't think will happen in my lifetime, but I have kept my eye out because there were some really, really nice Addams Family aftermarket playfields that are better than the original with the diamond coating like it's supposed to and everything. And they've changed slight things in the playfield, changing the darkness of the color, or like the Addams Family here. They have one that's in purples that sparkles. Purple's my favorite color. That's why my hair's partially there. And so I think I would probably get one of those, and I think I'd be okay with it. So let me just wander over here and chat for a second. You think this taking the playfield takes the soul out of the machine? Is it possible to lower the music? Yeah, I can lower the music a little bit. And thanks for the like there. Yeah, let me turn the music down just a little. I know it gets a little loud during the game. Yeah, you know, but I look at some of these machines that have dead playfields, and I mean dead. I mean, I wouldn't replace a playfield in a machine unless that thing had no paint left on it, right? But I mean, ugh, that sucks. I think if you have a machine that is so worn that it's not playable anymore, and that seems too low to me now. Let me turn it up just a notch. Let's try that. Yeah, I gotta get the mic placement right here too. I'll figure all this out. I've only been pinball streaming for a day, so yeah, we'll get there. But definitely give me feedback on how the levels and things are doing. Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to replacing a playfield, it's a huge undertaking. But oh, that sucked. I had a friend who had a bunch of beat to hell. What do you call them? 8-ball deluxe, and she was ripping and sticking playfields on rotisseries and redoing the playfields, and a lot of work. But at the end of the day, she did leave the cabinets alone, just replace the playfield. You know, but it really brought the machine back to life. And I know what you're saying about, you know, it's ripping the soul out of the machine, but if the machine was so far dead, the machine has no soul left, you know? And, you know, we gotta preserve these things. I mean, people still have these things, like, stacked in their barn. It always drives me nuts how many people have barn-find machines, right? But, I have not done a playfield rip down, and I'm not a painter, so I have not done touch-up paint or anything. I get these machines from all over the place, you know, pinball conventions, Craigslist, from wait, I'm about to lose my mic. Damn it. My mic's mount is slipping. I am now playing one-handed. We will see how well we do until the ball drains. I might have to start playing one-handed more. Oh. Alright, let me see if that'll hold for a minute.
Look, darling, just what we've been searching for.
My microphone clamps down to the table, And the table is a weird thickness for the clamp that's on it. And it started to slide off when I moved it a minute ago. So we're gonna give this a second here, and then I'll next drain I will reclamp the mic. Oh, I wanted you to go in there. Well, that's a ball lock. So let's fix this mic real quick. Yeah, you know. I know what you're saying about how many barn finds are left, but you'll be surprised when you look at cars. Okay, so what you're saying is get the whole back glass and just not the DMD? Yeah, I think I might do that next time, is move the cam. But I've got a tripod coming with an arm that's going to go over the... I mean, my ceilings are really low here. I mean, if you look, I can flat hand touch my ceilings in the basement. There's literally an inch from the topper on Addams Family to the ceiling. So I literally have the over playfield camera here clamped into the track on the ceiling, and then I just have the other one sitting on the playfield shooting. But once I get the arm, I'll be able to mount them all on one arm and move them between machines. Let's see what you guys have. They had to take the damn fan off the Twister to make it fit. Twister's another great game. What do you have for pins? How many do you have? I've only got the, what do I have? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. I think I have 8 at the moment with the 9th playfields for the pin 2000. And don't get me wrong, I've only been collecting for a couple of years, so I am probably going to sell a couple of my EMs this year and try to upgrade to some newer stuff. I do want to get a new Stern machine. I'm not sure which one yet, and I do want to get a Jersey Jack eventually. So you have a Twister, Dr. Dude, a home model of Fireball, and a Demo Man. Oh, good games. Good games. Demo Man's a good game. Yeah, I tend to like these 90s Bally's Williams machines. I really love them. And there's a short list. If you look at my pin side profile, you'll see my wish list. It's all either 90s 90s Bally Williams machines, and a myriad of them. God, I can't make this damn shot. Yeah, 90s Bally's Williams machines, some newer Stern machines, and that's really because I want to get good at those for eventual competition, you know, if I ever decide to do that. And, you know, Jersey Jack, I really, I love Dialed In, and I have a feeling that I'm going to love, I keep thinking Wizard of Oz, because that was the other movie of my childhood, but Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. The Willy Wonka, I've seen the videos, and I've looked at the playfield, and it is really up my alley. I think that is going to replace Addams Family as, like, the game that people love and think of. You know, I do like some early 80s Gottlieb machines, the multiple playfield ones. Like, I know I was on Pinside the other day, looking at my list. You know, I've had the opportunity to buy a few black holes in pretty rough shape. Haven't pulled the trigger on those yet, but definitely Black Hole is a game I love that game, despite all of its flaws. And of course Haunted House, but Haunted House, you know, has risen in popularity Man, I can't believe I just fucked that up. Haunted House has risen in popularity in the last few years. So much so that trying to find one in any kind of decent condition that you could do a mechanical restoration on is just, you know, just impossible now. And it's kind of interesting if you watch Todd Tucky's videos. You see that he's been doing a lot of haunted houses and a lot of black holes lately. Just checking chat. I do need to set up that monitor for the chat. I'm gonna have to figure out once I get the tripod how I do that. Hit the jackpot. I would have if I realized what I was doing. I didn't realize I saved that last ball in the game. If I had known, if I had listened, if I was paying attention. Keep it in there. It's actually been a pretty good game. Did that drop? Yeah, missed. That ball is sticking there again. Alright, let me look at chat while it's stuck. I remind you of your cousin Ed Hardy from Mexico. Okay. I don't know what the hell that means. Great, I can't even do that right now. Come on. Fine. That sucks. I tilted it. Trying to fix it. Oh well. And that's the good thing about home games, right? When you tilt them like this, you didn't really lose too much. 233 million, and I didn't get the end of ball bonus because the ball got stuck. Oh, how long I stream for this website. Okay. Well, you know, it's... I kind of enjoy talking to people. And it's... yeah, I'll take a look at that YouTube. I'm going to wait 1 second, and if we can take a 1 quick second, I'm going to grab a monitor so that I can see the chat without having to lean over to this tiny laptop this here. So give me 1 minute, and I should be able to do that. So, give me 1 second, guys, and I will get this this into a spot where I'll actually be able to see the chat while we're playing, because a little difficult. Yeah, don't worry about the links in chat, guys. You can do that. Streamlabs has something turned on there to prevent people, but I never gave it permission, so it's probably going to complain at you, but still let you post your links. So I wouldn't worry about it. So give me 1 1 second here. We'll get this all hooked up, and we will be able to play and chat at the same time, hopefully. Alright, you're plugged in. Just gonna get to the laptop. My screen resolution. One more second, guys. I will be styling here. There we go. Should fix my not being able to see you guys problem. Let's see. What do you look like? Much better. Much better. See, in my stream, this really has screwed up Stream Deck pretty bad. Yeah, I do play other pinball. Well, that's in a weird spot. Give me 1 second. I do play other pinball. I have currently 8 cabinets with 9 play fields in the house, because I have a Pin 2000 that I have both play fields for it. And so I'm new to pinball streaming. I've been streaming games for years. I was a video game person. Yeah, 3 cameras tonight. The Amazon fairies delivered the new cameras today. There we go. I actually canceled the order for the cameras that I had ordered, and reordered them so that I could get the cameras in for tonight. Because I did have a next day delivery option on Amazon, of course, but I just went with the standard 2-day Prime, and so it wasn't going to be here till Sunday. But I canceled the order and reordered them last night at probably 4 or 5 in the morning, and they made it here by 6 o'clock today. And I live in Nashua, New Hampshire, which is not a major metropolitan major metropolitan area, but it's a small city up here on the Mass New Hampshire border. I think that is probably about yes. Now I can see. This is perfect. I can see chat while I'm playing. So let's start playing again. So yeah, Amazon for the win. And so started streaming tonight, probably about 7:30. Streamed for about 2.5, 3 hours. Had 3 friends over who were all very much casual amateurs, kind of like myself, but they're more so than I am. And we had some fun there. Got some nice low scores, but still had a good time. Tomorrow night I've got my bi-weekly poker game. We play Texas Hold'em, and I was thinking about maybe streaming that if I can figure out how to do a hole card thing. Are you casual, you say? Yeah, I am, actually. I don't play in any tournaments. I just do this kind of for fun. And, I'm a techie. Works in the video game industry and the automotive industry and technology, both So, you know, kind of always been in on the ground floor on this stuff. I was working for Warner Brothers Games back in, starting in 2013 when the game studio I was working with was remaking a MOBA. It was basically League of Legends with DC characters. It was called Infinite Crisis, and I worked on that game and on the back end. And that game was a failure, but we did a lot of oh my god, stop it, you have to try harder. And so the I was working in back-end systems for WB Games, and I ran the back-end for Mortal Kombat and a bunch of others. And you know, they were streaming a lot. They had a lot of pro streamers come in to try to capture the League of Legends audience. So I got involved with Twitch back then in 2013, but I was really a PC game streamer casually. And pinball's been a hobby of mine for years, but I never really started streaming. So it was I'm out of work at the moment. I'm looking for a new opportunity, and I decided, hey, you know, there's tons of people streaming video games, but not a lot of people streaming pinball, and I have all these machines, so maybe I'll give it a shot, right? And so here we are. And part of the here we are moment was I already had streaming cameras. So last night I had kind of set it up with a GoPro and this and that, and I was buying one of these. Delaware, if you're still on, you know which model it is. It's the I think it's the 922. I was buying one 922 anyways. Because I wanted a 1080 for my desk to stream games, and I said, well, you know, I really need it for pinball. This is the excuse. So I ended up ordering two of them, and instead of using the GoPro, which did work really well last night on Zoom, on doing the playfield, I'm just using a little 720 camera for me, and then I have the two 622s, I think is what they are. So yeah, I worked with games. I did that for the last 5 years. The last 6 to 9 months, I've been working in cancer care. Yeah, don't worry about your English. I try to speak it, but not very well myself. English is one of those stupid languages. I'm gonna make a quick adjustment here on my live/editor screen. There we go. When I plugged in the monitor, it did some interesting things to my stream console. Like, I can't see how many viewers I have at the moment, which is kind of weird. So just give me one quick sec here. Pull that up here so I can go there. Oh, there we go. That'll be better. And I will lace this here. Shrink you down a little. I will get this streaming software set up the way I want it to someday. But today might not be it, kids. Today might not be it, but we'll find out, right? Because I know none of you guys are probably from the Boston area, but as Museum of Science used to tell us, it's fun to find out. That was the Museum of Science commercial for Boston. It was always. Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm almost there. There we go. Don't know what happened when with OBS when I plugged the monitor in. It decided to take away a bunch of information and controls, but that's fine. I'm improvising. So where were we? So, ready to launch Ball 2 with a horrible score. So yeah, I'm going to. So yeah, I worked in video games for some years. That was a drain, and I decided to move out of video games and go into cancer genomics. Worked for a company for the last 9 months, but recently departed there about 6 weeks ago. culture wasn't right. I really miss the games groups. I really miss a younger culture, and healthcare is not that. So decided to move on, and so I'm looking for work at the moment. I know I had a lot of interviews, but trying to keep myself busy with hobbies that aren't going to cost too much, because I tend to slogan around my house is anything worth doing is worth overdoing. So I always go just a little too far, and so and jump all in with things. And so I'm trying to find some hobbies that aren't going to cost me too much, and that was not fair. I think we can all agree that was not fair. The ball should not have bounced that way. So what do I want to do now? And that I'm trying to figure that out, and that's part of why I'm streaming and wanting to be really interactive with chat is I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. You know, I did realize after streaming last night that Twitch, in fact, has some jobs that I'd be very interested in, but I'd have to move across the country for, and I'm almost tempted to consider that. But what I've been doing mostly, I did software development for years. Was one of the founding members of a company that, yeah, I think it's at a slight slant. You're right. I have to level this. I've got that nifty Pin Guy app, and I was noticing that it was a little off kilter yesterday. And so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. So, you know, I worked as a software engineer for a company that we sold to Kelley Blue Book and Auto Trader. Does their guaranteed pricing of used cars. I worked on the algorithm for that. I worked on some interesting military projects back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. And then, you know, Warner Brothers for 5 years in the games group. So I've got a pretty good resume. So I don't think it'll take me too long to find a job. But I'm 42 years old, so I'm really looking for something I'm passionate about. Yeah, lots of jobs in my field in Seattle. You're absolutely right. You know, for the last 5 years at Warner Brothers, we were using Amazon Web Services backends and doing a lot of big data stuff. We worked really closely with Amazon. Part of our analytics team helped build the Amazon Redshift product. And so a lot of good inside knowledge there. And yeah, Amazon's going crazy. So last night after streaming some pinball, I go to my email box, and there's an email from a recruiter talking to me about an opportunity at Twitch in San Francisco, and I'm like, I don't think I want to move across country, but I'm really thinking I might try to make that work because that's something I think might get me out of bed. And that's part of why I'm streaming and doing this. You know, I tend to forget my purpose in life when I'm not working. I'm one of those people that is all in on my hobbies and my passions and things. And one of those is my career. And so when I'm not working, I get a bit depressed and lose what my purpose is and what I really want to do. And so now that I'm in my 40s, I'm really putting some time and thought into what is it I want to do. And, you know, I honestly thought that was cancer genomics. Really interesting big data compute stuff in the cloud, moving petabytes and petabytes of data around, and trying to the company was slicing cancer tumors and then doing genomics on it, matching drugs, targeted drugs. And I, you know, came to this part where I was in my 40s, and I was like, you know, maybe I want to do something more rewarding than video games. But there's nothing like the video game culture, you know, and that environment is just so great. So many creative people, and you're stressed trying to solve complex problems, And but it's fun because the culture is so great that you don't mind working all that much. And I think that's why Amazon employees work as much as they do. I mean, I know Bezos is a can't believe I saved that one. Bezos is a slave driver, I've heard, but at the same time, these people are solving complex problems, and they're really enjoying what they're doing, so they don't really care how many hours they're working and how stressed they are. And, you know, maybe that's where I need to be. I don't know. There are a lot of Amazon offices in Boston and Cambridge, you know, so there's opportunities for me to stay here, but I'm not sure that I want to work at Amazon. But I think Twitch would be good. I do have friends who work at Amazon's, it used to be called Lumberyard, and damn, I was gonna count that. No, it didn't. Amazon Lumberyard was what they, I think it's now Game Shift or something, was their gaming platform. I have a lot of friends who left WB and went there. So I might end up looking at that at some time in the future. I'm not sure. But for now, I think part of what I need to do to kind of have an identity. Is this lost the ball? Did. It's sitting right here. Shoot it to me. It'll ball search. There we go. Where did I drop the ball that it wouldn't have come up now? This machine's never this temperamental. Thanks for the follow. More follows the merrier. You brought up some bad luck though. My machine's ball searching. That ball is in this chute. I don't know why it's not finding it. I'll give it one more and then I'll hit the read switch myself. Where is that one? Oh, that's not the one. Where the hell is that coil? That's the bottom of the float. Ow! That hurt. I wasn't high voltage, which is good. Oh, damn you. I can't reach it. Where am I at? I'm out of Nashua, New Hampshire. I don't know where everybody else is. I think Delaware may still be in chat. I'm gonna wiggle it. Oh, there it is. No wonder I can't find it. It's stuck here again. You're right. You're absolutely right. I need to level this table. But we're not going to do that now because it's 1:45 in the morning. But I'm about to lose a ball because of that. And I will do that before I stream on again on this machine. So I keep my machines in the basement, and we had a really bad rainstorm here while the ground was still frozen. And last year, 2 years ago actually, I had a very large solar array put on my roof. And the solar panels dropped the snow off the back of my roof right next to my house, next to my foundation. And there was big piles of ice that basically just made this great conduit of water that came over my foundation wall and into my basement, which has never happened before. And so I got some water in the basement, about ½ an inch, right under all my pins. So I had to pull all the pins out of here and get all the water cleaned up. And then when I put the pins back, some of them are not level anymore. So I've got the trusty little app on my phone. And when I take the glass off of this the next time, I'm going to level it. And we'll fix this problem. And that will be before the next time I stream. But last night, when I was streaming, I see that most of the streamers have Invisiglass or pull the glass off the machine. And these machines are entirely too noisy when the glass is off. So I took the glass off for the beginning part of the stream and then decided halfway through the stream that I was going to put the glass back on. And of course, I hit something with the glass as I was picking it up, and it shattered into a million little pieces in the middle of the stream. And so I just stole a piece of glass from another machine. So now I have this irrational fear of touching glass today, so I am not taking the glass out to level this. I currently have 8 pins, but I have 9 playfields. So one of my playfields, one of my cabinets is a Pinball 2000 cabinet. So I have Revenge from Mars as well as Star Wars Episode 1 in that, with a new computer in it and a LCD monitor in it. So I have those 2 playfields. So that machine's kind of a 2-in-1. The rest of them, I've got Sopranos, Addams Family, Funhouse, Royal Flush Deluxe, Rack 'em Up, which is one I'm going to stream in a few weeks, because it's an old Gottlieb game. It's a 1983. It's an unlicensed, game, and the purpose is to hit all the drop targets and rollovers to fill the pool rack at the bottom of the playfield. And it is got great shots. It's a great game. It's highly underrated. And so I'm going to play that one. Yeah, most people have not seen Rack 'em Up. It was an 83 Gottlieb, and Gottlieb's, people love him, people hate him. But it's how I got into pinballs was, I had a friend who was closing an arcade, and I went over there to buy a machine because I wanted a pinball machine for my house. And so I bought Royal Flush Deluxe, which was a game that it's a 1983 Gottlieb. It's the System 80, 80B, System 80B, and I love the game because I love poker, and so I bought that and brought it home because she told me it was a bit of a project, and every single thing worked on it. Subsequently replaced and rebuilt driver boards on it and other things. How could I have missed that shot? When you're streaming and you miss a shot and you're like, I can make that shot every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and how could I have just missed that? Like that one there. Oh, come on. I just set those balls up correctly and I still screwed up. Alright. Yeah, I do like the World Poker Tour game. It's on my list of things I'd like. It's a very different game. And which soccer are you talking about there, Warlock? You said soccer is cool. Your local operator has one. Which soccer game? And yeah, Raven is a fun game as well. Now Raven, I think is an 80B. I'm not sure. I have to look at the board on it. Yeah, okay, so the one I have, the soccer EM from the 74, 75. That's a great game. It's the one with the ball counter thing in the back glass. I'm probably going to do a video. I'm going to do a video on everything that I have. And I'm planning on doing it in the next 6 weeks or so, because I am probably going to take soccer and pro football and oh my god, really? Soccer, pro football, and maybe rack them up and trade them or sell them at the Pintastic Pinball Convention in Massachusetts. Yeah, same here. I like seeing games that most people haven't played. And Rack 'em Up is one of these games that if you look on YouTube, there's only a couple videos on that too. The problem is, and it's a great game, by the way. I'm going to say that again. It's just such it's a pinball player's game. It's shots. It's hard. It's nice and mean at the same time. It's a challenging game, and as a result, it doesn't get a lot of use in my house. And the reason it doesn't get a lot of use is because I don't have a lot of pinball player friends. I got friends who are in their 40s and 50s, of course, and 30s, and they're very casual pinball players. So it doesn't get a lot of use. Royal Flush is a much more user-friendly, easy game to understand. You've got, you know, 10 through ace in red drop targets. You know, so you get 10 Jack, Queen, King, Ace in red targets, and then you get Jack, Queen, Queen, and King in black targets. And the purpose is to basically just hit all the drop targets down. And when you do that, they reset, and you get points. And that's the whole thing of the game. It has a one-pop bumper on it in the middle of nowhere, and you know, some lanes and some targets. And it's a good game, especially for people who don't understand pinball. The shots are easy for them to make. So for me, it's not a very interesting game, but it's one that I keep around the house for people to play. And the machine's in immaculate condition. So much so, it was a home use only machine. The back glass is beautiful. The play field is amazing. Everything on it is just gorgeous. And as a result, I'll probably never sell it because I'll never be able to get what it's worth. Because it's only worth what someone's willing to pay. Pepper, thank you for following. So yeah, I'll never get what it's worth, so I'll probably never sell it, and so I'm going to hold on to that one. But I'm going to definitely do soccer, pro football, rack 'em up. I'm going to stream those. I'll probably stream The Sopranos. A lot of people love that game. A lot of people hate that game. You know, you love wild layouts with pops and weird spots. Yeah, I do too, but this one is... I will have to... When I stream it, you'll have to see it. It's weird. Yeah, I had a Williams contact that she did videos for a long time ago because there was no YouTube. Yeah, I know. Sopranos is great, but a lot of competition players don't like it because it plays too long. It is a long playing game, and if you're playing multiplayer on it could be an hour to play a 2 or 3 person game on Sopranos. But that's on the same circuit breaker as this and Funhouse. So the 3 of these are on at the moment. Fortunately, I have solar on my house, so it doesn't cost as much because at the moment I've got 2 machines in the room turning electricity into heat. All they're doing is blinking little bulbs and looking pretty. Unfortunately, I don't have a tracked mode on either of those. The only one that I have a tracked... Oh, that stunk. I could have saved that one. The only one that has a track mode on it, turned on it, is this one. So this one will occasionally say, don't torture yourself. So when I do my poker games, I have to remember to turn this one down because it will randomly say that in the background while we're playing poker. Because I usually turn the games on for people to play. And so, yeah, my poker buddies came over earlier today. Oh, that one sucked. And we did a little bit of streaming for a little while. And now I'm back on. I'll probably be on for another hour or so. I don't know. We'll see. Depends how angry I get at this machine. But I think I'll probably stream Sopranos next because it's literally right next to this one, and I can move all the streaming gear over easily. But maybe I'll put a poll up and see what people want to see. Because if I take this down and try to do poker streaming, I might have to set it all up anyway, so it wouldn't matter where I set it up. Yeah, but my rack 'em up machine is in rough shape. It's got new boards in it and a rebuilt, new system board in it. One of those Rotten Dog ones, because the old one had problems. It was not stable as the early Gottliebs are. And the driver board had a bunch of problems with it, just from blown transistors for lights and things. So I rebuilt that. I put a new system board in it. A soundboard in it was fine. I did put a new power supply into it. Same time I did the system board, I put a Rotten Dog power supply in it as well. And so it's mechanically, and it's had all the ground mods done to it and all that. I could have saved that. Had all the ground mods done to it and all that stuff as well. So it's just, it was in a bar. When I got it, you ran your hand across the playfield and you got metal splinters and just complete black. I had to simple green it and clean it. I had to take every plastic off the machine and scrub them down, and so many of them are chipped and cracked. I had to replace so many of those. The pop bumper caps were completely destroyed and gone. Just the machine was beat to hell, and I brought it back. The back glass is not very interesting, but it's in rough shape, and the cabinet has got some graffiti on it where people carved into it. So there's not much I can do about that. But I think it's a good home pin, or it's a good pin for someone to take and that likes doing the cosmetic restoration on the cabinet and the back glass, because the playfield's not in bad shape. It's got an original Mylar on it, so it's good. You sold your black hole because you couldn't lift the playfield high enough to service the lower one. Yeah, I've heard that about those. I did have the chance to buy a black hole that was in reasonably rough shape for a couple $1,000, and I didn't do it, and I probably should have. But it's a good game. Only Sopranos I play is really beat up in a bar. It would be cool to see when it's taken care of. Yeah, mine was pretty beat up in a bar too, and I did a lot to clean it up. But Adriana's face at the bottom of the playfield, where this lower flipper is, over here is her face is pretty beat up. I don't know what somebody did to make that happen. But the rest of it is in excellent condition. I mean, the playfield was filthy and needed a lot of cleaning and TLC. It's another one I had to pull everything out of. But I put soft white LEDs pretty much everywhere on it, and then I put bright whites under the playfield. So, it's how I tend to do it. Like even this one here, I've got some brights under the playfield here for greed and that kind of stuff. And then anything that's exposed, I put the softer white ones in because I just like the look of that. And you know, I clean them up the best I can, and then I hold on to them, and then I try to sell them to get something else to clean up and play for a while. Yeah, Warlock, I know exactly what you're saying. I feel that way. I sold one of my employees at WB. I had a Monte Carlo, another Gottlieb System B, 80B, and it. I keep outlaning. What's BTTF? You should never have sold BTTF. What's BTTF? But yeah, I bought this Monte Carlo machine for Back to the Future. Yeah, you never should have sold that. Back to the Future is a good game. So yeah, I had this Monte Carlo that I think I only paid $400 for because it was missing the display board and the soundboard. I was working on that for a while, and I got it running, and then I was having a problem with something, and I decided to use a logic test probe to test some of the chips, and inevitably I shorted out the whole entire system board, so I had to get a new system board for it. So this machine ended up costing upwards of $1,400 by the time I was done with everything that I put into it, between the LEDs and the coils that were bad and the plastics that were broken, and then the display, the multi-line display and all of that. So I ended up selling it for about $1,400 to one of my employees, and but I did put a new swimmer, I think that's how you pronounce his name, Fred Schwimmer, I think. He makes aftermarket system boards for System 80B, System 80C, stuff that Rotten Dog doesn't make, and he'll program the chips, and everything's socketed, and he does a beautiful job on those boards, by the way. Money well spent. So that machine is now in my friend Martini, as we call him, because that's his last name. And so we, it's pretty bulletproof. It's in his house, but that thing was blowing fuses like left and right, and I kind of regret selling it to him because I bought the game because I liked the game. I like the wheel. I like the action on it. I like the 10 million ramp that is only lit for like 12 seconds at a time or something. It is a hard shot to make, and you know, it's not the new thinner flippers, it's the old chunkier ones, and it has that horrible retro soundtrack, but I loved that machine, and that's why I bought it. And then I had so many problems with it during the restore that I sold it, and I kind of regret that one. But he you know, it had the topper on it and everything. I redid all the LEDs everywhere. It was a good game. Yeah, it's not like it's gone. I can go and play it, you know. But yeah, it's one of these things. I gotta think long and hard before I sell some of these, because like part of the reason I bought Gottlieb at the beginning was because there was that one that I liked and I wanted it, so I bought it, and then it was in too good a shape and wasn't enough of a project, so I wanted a project machine, so I got another System 80 machine that that had problems with it, which is the rack 'em up, because I already knew something about how the electronics in it worked, and I would be able to trade driver boards back and forth to troubleshoot things, to isolate, well, is this in fact a problem with wiring or grounding or what have you, or is this, you know, a driver board problem, and how do I isolate that so I could switch them between the machines, which I did quite a bit of, to get that machine up and running. And now I'm kind of like, what else am I going to do with it? My friends don't like it. I don't play it that much. I'll probably sell that one to update the collection a little bit and move some stuff around. But at the same time, originally when we bought them, they were up in the dining room, and the two of them next to each other really complement each other. So I'm kind of torn if I'm even going to bring it and sell it, because I won't get a lot of money for it, and it might just be better to be here next to its partner, you know. So we'll see. I did sell a Ding Dong. 1968 Bally's Ding Dong. It's school themed, and I don't regret selling that one. I did the cleanup on it and got everything working on it again, and that it was a good machine, but it wasn't something I was going to keep in the collection and play for an extended period of time. So off it went, and I don't really regret that one. Oh, you have a 46 United Singapore. I don't know that one. I do regret not buying a at one of the pin shows last year. There was a late 30s Gottlieb machine, you know, old wooden leg, you know, real pinball. And it wasn't expensive because it was in rough shape. It needed a lot of wood restoration. But I kind of regret not buying it because I don't know the next time I'm going to find one of those. Oh, come on, that shot should have went. No, that just sucked. Yeah. You know, I don't have a wood rail machine, so... You know, I don't have a ball lift machine either, so I don't know, at some point I will probably get one of those. I do have a 1968 Bally's 3-line 10-cent slot machine over here, though, that I picked up for, I don't know, $400 or something, off of, like, Facebook Marketplace. I had great luck on Facebook Marketplace, and as well as as Craigslist and things. Some people are nuts with the value of their stuff and what they're asking for, and some people are more reasonable. And I think it's that way at the pinball shows too. You go to the pinball shows, and sometimes you got someone who wants all the money for it, and even though it's not in a great condition, I can't believe I let that one drain. And then you got some people who just, you know, are reasonable. So I tend to try to explain what I've done to the machine already, because looks on these things are very deceiving, and especially when you've done no restoration to the cabinet or what have you. People look at the machine and go, I'm not paying that much for this. When, you know, they don't realize that you've already done all the work on all of the system boards and everything, and you just can't paint to save your life, so you haven't touched anything up. And as far as I mean, I hate to be mean here, but as far as a skill goes, I would rather I'd rather know how to maintain the electronics than be a good painter. You know, that's just me.
Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, Chad, I know what you're saying. Sometimes you just have to grab these things because they're there. Yeah, my problem is I get impulsive. Like, I see, you know, we have a small antique business, and as well as a part owner in a restaurant as well. And in the antiques business, we go to a lot of auctions, and so I'm constantly on auction websites. By the way, it's my wife's business, not mine. So we go to a lot of auctions, and I really enjoy auctions. But occasionally you get pinballs at auctions, and you don't know what you're getting, is the first problem. And the second problem... Again, why did it do that? I hate the magnets on this game. You never know what you're getting at auction, and it's very easy to overpay as a result, because you don't know what the condition is. You know, sometimes they plug them in. So many times they don't. I was at one auction where they literally said it was an old EM. I didn't buy it. Okay, I'm just gonna say I did not buy it. In fact, I didn't buy it so much I don't even remember what the name of the pin was. But you know, it's an auction house that I have a very good relationship with, and the boys who are the not boys anymore. These guys are in their mid to late 20s now. They're the ones who go and pick up a lot of the stuff at people's estates and homes, and they said it worked when we had it in the house there, when we picked it up, but we brought it back to the auction hall where it sits today and plugged it in, and it doesn't work anymore. And of course, it's the old joke, it's probably just a fuse. In that case, it probably was just a fuse, or something got disconnected when they tried to move it incorrectly, is my guess. And probably could have easily... Ooh, that was a bad save. First one was a good save, second one was a bad save. You know, probably something shook loose in transit, and probably an easy fix. But at the same time, you don't know. And so... the problem with auctions is people drive them up. There's a perceived value, even on old EM pins. You know, that shot sucked too, guys. So, you know, the perceived value on these old EM pins, so many people, you know, had them in their houses for their grandkids and things, or the kids in the basement, or whatever the case was. But they're usually all older EM pins. Most people didn't have solid state ones, you know. I had a neighbor when I was a kid that his dad had a pinball in the basement, and I remember looking inside it, opening it up and looking inside it. Never looked inside the back glass, so I don't actually remember if it was electronic scoreboards or if it was EMs, but I remember looking inside it and thinking it was really cool. You know, and I was saying this the other day, pinball is so much more challenging than video games. You know, someone who can stream a video game, I mean, it's funny, those of you guys who are Twitch viewers and not streamers, if you've ever looked at the Twitch challenges or achievements, you know, it's your first stream. Oh, you streamed this many times in this many days, or you know, these things. One of them is a 12-hour challenge, and one of them is a 24-hour challenge. And I have to say this. I'm hard-pressed to play pinball for 12 or 24 hours. But you know something? I can easily play a video game for 12 or 24 hours, especially a live-action role-play or some sort of MMO. I mean, if you get on a good round of first-person shooters, you know, it's easy. Who am I kidding? When the next Borderlands comes out, I will probably play it for 12 or 24 hours. Ugh, I missed the extra ball. I think we'd all be hard-pressed to play pinball for 12 or 24 hours. I don't know if Delaware is still on. We're dropping people because it's getting late. But I'd love to get together with some people and do a 12 or 24-hour pinball stream. Switch between machines, you know, every X amount of hours or something. I think it would be a lot of fun. But you'd need 4 people to do it. I mean, I think any of us would be hard pressed to do 12 hours or 24 hours of pinball. But it's an achievement that I think I'd like to go to for Twitch. That'd be interesting. I think after about 3 hours, you start playing like shit. That's why you'd have to change the game up, because you know, quite honestly, if I play this for more than 3 hours, I don't know. Yeah, real pinball. You know, yeah, I don't like the virtual pin. I have no problem with it. A lot of people are against it. But at the end of the day, it's a video game, and if you, it removes the unlevel element, it removes the true tilt element, it removes all of that from it, and I think the virtual pin stuff is good. I'm not an objector of it like other people, but yeah, I mean, playing real pinball, if you play pinball for 4 hours, you're going to get tired, so I think you'd really have to do it as a team. I think you'd have to have 4 people, you know, maybe playing doubles, you know, 2 people playing a game, 2 people kind of talking and narrating, and then going back and forth. I think the other thing that's really hard here is there's no pause button. You know, in so many video games, I can pause for a minute and run to the bathroom. Here, I can't. I mean, this ball's in play, and I either have to drain, or I have to you know, wait till I drain, or wait until I get a ball locked for a multi-ball or something. You know, if I have a ball sitting in the shooter lane, I can walk away. And streaming games is so much easier because there's logical breaking points in every game. Even if you're playing a first-person shooter against other people, there's places you can duck and hide and take a quick break. There's pauses between while matchmaking's going on, because matchmaking, code-wise, is surprisingly hard, by the way. And so while matchmaking's going on, you know, you've got a few minutes there as well. And yeah, you have to learn the rules of the game and the shots, and it takes a lot more practice. So it's very, very different. I'm glad you can't wait for Borderlands either. I can't wait. I can't believe. You know, when I worked in video games, when I was working for WB, I never thought anything about us announcing a game a year or 9 months before the release date. It never occurred to me that was a problem, you know. And now I'm like, well, wait. where's Borderlands? Didn't you announce it last week? I want that game. And it's kind of funny because there are people on Twitch right now streaming the new Borderlands because, you know, you've got people that are beta testers, advanced previews, marketing streamers, all of that kind of stuff. And it makes me jealous now because I used to be able to get that stuff and now I can't. And I'm like, you announced. Why can't... Oh, that sucks. Why can't I have the game? So, unfortunately, I don't know anybody over at that game studio. And if I did, they probably wouldn't give it to me anyways. I went to PAX East the year that the pre-sequel was coming out, which turned out not to be a great game, as we all know. But I wanted to play the game, and the queues were hours long, and so I walked up to the hostess stand and basically started talking to her. And fortunately, I was working for WB at the time, and we had, I think, Infinite Crisis, Mortal Kombat, and somebody else on the floor. So I think that was right before Mortal Kombat 10 came out, or the year before. I don't remember. And I walked up to the woman and just started talking to her, and I'm like, I can't wait that long. I'm in the booth, you know. Can you try to squeeze me in tomorrow morning before you guys open up? Or, you know, da-da-da-da. And she finally asked me what booth I was in, and I told her, and she's like, if you go and get me these t-shirts, I'll let you in now. And so I of course, did. But I probably looked like a complete fan person at the time because I actually was wearing a Marcus Munitions t-shirt when I was talking to her. So she probably realized that I was a dedicated fan. Interesting story there. I live in New Hampshire, and well, we tend to be eccentric gun nuts. Oh, thanks for the follow, Irish Eyes. Thanks so much for joining us. And so, you know, I have some guns, and I went into my gun dealer that I go to, and I don't shoot that much, really just for kind of sport, not sport, but for fun, you know, to go to the range and shoot. And so I go into my gun dealer, place up here in Merrimack, New Hampshire. The owner's a Russian guy named Alex, and I'm wearing my Marcus Munitions t-shirt, and he turns to me and he says, "Who is this Marcus you wear shirt for?" And I turn and says, "It's from a video game." No. He did. I got him. I got him alive. I kill him too, he's dead. And I broke out laughing. So I'm like, it's in it, you know. Of course, he was just screwing with me, but he's just so funny. Nice guy. And he has so many antique guns and other stuff that the place might as well be a museum, because a lot of his personal collection is there as well. But I don't know what connections he has in Russia, but he's got the cheapest ammunition in that place of anybody around here, which is part of the reason I go there. But they're just good people as well, so. Oh, how do I keep missing the jackpot shots? Get into where I want you to be. Let's set this up. Lost it. Too late. Yeah, well, I'm of course putting the Marcus accent on it. You know, he didn't quite have the Marcus accent, but you know, it was funny. The funnier thing was that his business partner actually knew the game because his son was a Borderlands player, so he just broke out laughing because he had heard it before. You know, if you buy it anywhere else, I'll have you killed. You know. Yeah, I need to find another job in video games, I guess. The problem is video games don't pay well, because everybody wants to work in video games. Everyone dreams of being a video game developer, to the point that the video game companies don't pay their employees well. But they get treated really well. I've never worked in a company that treated their employees as well as video game companies. They've just got a great culture there of creativity and innovation, and a lot of these companies, shareholder value is not a mission for a lot of these people. It really is about the players, and the slogan of the studio that I was working for, which was I was located at the Turbine Games studio, even though I didn't work for the Turbine Games. I worked for WB. Warner Brothers Games owns Turbine, and Turbine did Dungeons & Dragons Online, Lord of the Rings Online, the original MMO Asheron's Call, and their slogan was "Powered by our fans," and we had fans and customers in the place all the time, and it was really nice because it was really nice because the fans would come in and talk about the game and how to make the game better, and you know, all sorts of things, and they wanted to hear about the new stuff, and they were just excited to be there. It really was just a great creative environment, and it was really about the fans more than it was the profits. I mean, at the end of the day, WB was at the time, it's now owned by AT&T, but it was owned by Time Warner, and well, now Time Warner's owned by AT&T, but you know, so you care about shareholder value and you're a big corporation, but at the same time, they really did care about the fans and the employees, which I miss, I guess. Interesting story, which I will do after this multi-ball's over. We'll talk about Asheron's Call. Come on, stand there. There we go. This is a good multi-ball. This 2-ball multi-ball on this machine, as I say that ended. I never do that great at, and the thing about ball, that was a pretty good ball there. That kind of impressed. Okay, so I got a ball locked. You have a buddy that works over at Bungie and works in Destiny, so you know I'm guessing you're out from on the West Coast in the Seattle, Washington area. We have a studio out there. When I worked for Warner Brothers, they have a studio out there. I still talk like I work there sometimes. Monolith is there. They did Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War and a bunch of other games. I have a lot of friends out in that area that work in those studios, and you guys also have DigiPen University, which is a video game school. It was a graphic artist college originally, but they have a very good game program. That's why they're called DigiPen. The name of the place is Digital Pen. And really good company, a really good school, and we used to get a lot of interns. I had an intern from there who, the reason she was in the game industry is because she loved Destiny so much, she wanted to go work at Bungie. Where did I lose a ball this time? Oh, there it goes. Lost it down the drain. So Asheron's Call, if you want to really hear how great Turbine Game Studio was. Oh, that's a good bonus. Where am I at? Asheron's Call was the first MMO game that really was out there before World of Warcraft and so forth. And you know, our player committee was very active, and that game ran for 21 years. When they were essentially redoing the Turbine Studio, changing it from being a PC game studio to being a mobile game studio, which is now called WB Boston. And they made the Game of Thrones Conquest mobile game. which is wildly successful, still top of the charts in the App Store. They had to make some decisions on what to do with some of those legacy PC games, specifically Asheron's Call, Lord of the Rings Online, and Game of Thrones Online. So they split a second company that took Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings Online. But Asheron's Call's license for the intellectual property could not be transferred because of an agreement. And so that game had to be shut down. And so I was on the team that had to close that game. And MMO players tend to be devoted to their games, to the point that we were getting quite a bit of hate mail. And it wasn't directed at Turbine, it was directed at WB. Because WB was, in these people's mind, the soulless corporation that was shutting down their game. That literally people were telling me that their game characters were, old enough to vote, old enough to drink. And so one letter that came to my desk was a woman who started talking about how great Turbine was before WB acquired them, and how much they cared about the players and the player commission and the committees and everything. And then she started talking about, and you can find this on YouTube, guys, if you look for, there's an Asheron's Call documentary that she's in. It literally said, she talks about Ned the Great. So Ned was a player who played for many years who had passed away, and a lot of the players wanted Turbine to make a non-player character in the game after him, because he was just this nice, sweet breath of joy. Watch the video; she talks all about it. And so when we were shutting down the game, we got a lot of people writing us letters. She wrote this letter explaining all of this and how upset she was, and that Big Bad WB shouldn't be shutting her game off, and how great Turbine was for making this making this character after Ned, when Ned died. And then she ended the letter was, "How dare you take Ned away? How dare you kill Ned again?" And missed the three-way. Oh well. And so this nice letter about how great Turbine was and how bad WB was. And then she hits me with that of how dare you kill Ned and take Ned away again. Just a gut punch. And little did she understand there was nothing we could do. But it's in the documentary on YouTube if you look at the closing of Asheron's Call. And I felt bad because these people, were devoted to this game, and they're never going to be able to play it again, which is unfortunate. We tried to see if we could get the rights to open source it and let people run their own servers. We weren't able to. We tried a lot of things to keep the game going, it was, what was more sad for me was, my name is listed in countless game credits that Warner Brothers has done. Every game that Warner Brothers games did between 2013 and 2018, my name is in the credits for doing my little part, which was running back-end systems and infrastructure. And for a lot of game developers, their resume reel is their game credits, their game library. And, for a lot of these things, if you have the console, you can go play that game right now, right? If you think about it, everyone who ever worked on, let's pick a random Atari game, Space Invaders. The developers of Space Invaders today can go grab an Atari 2600, slap a Space Invaders in and play it. And they can go and look at those credits. And they can see their name in that game. And that is their legacy. That is their resume reel, if you will. That is a huge part of them and their identity. And for the massive multiplayer games the games that you connect to a server, and the games can't be played without connecting to a server. When you shut those servers down, that legacy ends, and the creation that someone created dies then. And I think a lot of the players really realized that they were never going to be able to play this game that they had invested all this time in. But I don't think they thought of it the way I thought of it, which was these people's credits for those games rolled for the last time. You know, all of those people. And when you look at a game that was developed 20 years ago, ran for 21 years, which is a great run for an online game. The real sadness to me is that those developers never really got their curtain call, if you will. You know, the game is over, the game is dead, and that's it. And it's kind of sad. And I love this pin. I don't care what anyone says. I know it's not a tournament pin, but, you know, I don't do tournaments, so. Can't believe I must be getting tired. I have been playing pin for a while. Alright, good. There's your jackpot. Now let's hit the vault and do it again to get the super, right? Let's do this. There's always one with that. Let's hit the vault. I want the super jackpot. Come on. Line me up a shot so we can do it. I got an extra ball. I gotta get that. Yeah, so, you know, I have this game set to anytime that you get a free game, you get an extra ball. Makes the scores on the game higher, but the real reason is because getting free games on a game that's set to free-to-play is pretty much a waste of time. Alright, another down the drain. So I still have viewers. No one's talking in chat, though. I'm trying to carry this conversation myself. Come on, somebody give me a topic. Let's talk amongst ourselves. Let's see. Probably gonna stream for another, oh, maybe I can get another half hour in. I look a little worn and tired. So yeah, the replacement cameras came in today, so I was able to get all that set up. So I started streaming around 7:30. Streamed for a couple hours, probably 2.5 to 3, I think. And then I think I went back on at midnight. And so I guess I'm pulling the midnight to 3 a.m. shift here. I'm taking up the rear. I know there's a lot of pinball players who are out in Pittsburgh. You were listening. I'm glad to hear you're still with me. Yeah, how dare I kill Ned again? It was funny the amount of people who sent me personal emails. Someone leaked an email address list and my name was on it. I was a director of DevOps and God, it was Cloud Solutions and Integration, which is DevOps and continuous delivery, and software tooling and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, my team was the one who was going to shut off the servers because there was no development team anymore, and there hadn't been for about 3 years. But somehow, my name got out as one of the decision makers that was against keeping this on, and so, yeah, how dare you kill Ned again? I got goosebumps when I saw the video and saw the name. Yeah, that's the only time that no one streams real pinball. You do the day shift while the kiddo's in school. Well, I will definitely follow you and take a look at what you've been up to. You know, like I said, I'm relatively new streaming pinball. Been doing the game stuff for a while, but I got enough down here that I figure I have enough content for a while, and I think the social interaction of talking chit-chat is good for me. It keeps me the reason to get up in the morning. It's really hard when I don't have a job, and oh, that one stuck. Yeah, what kind of game stuff did you do? You know, a lot of people don't get very far with it. The games industry's hard to work in, and it's... I mean, I even found my way... Oh, really? Damn magnets. I even found my way out because I was, you know, just kind of unsure about what was going to happen next and what I was going to do. And lo and behold, I should have stuck around and figured it out. You know, been part of the solution instead of leaving. But I think I was also going through the... I don't know. I was getting old, hanging out with all those kids in the video game world. I really came to a point where I was like, maybe I'm meant to do something bigger in my life, but at the same time, I think I need to be in a job that I really enjoy to be fully engaged. And so I'm currently looking at, God, this game's been synced. I haven't even, Ball 2, and I haven't even made $1 million yet. Stream a lot of Sea of Thieves. 7 Day to Die. Oh, okay. VR. Yeah, wow. I don't have any VR gear at all. You know, one of the cool things was when I was working in video games is I was able to go to the the game developer convention every year, and you know, we had agreements with Sony and Microsoft, so we were always getting to see the latest gear and the VR stuff. I have to say the Sony for console, the Sony VR stuff is outstanding. You know, I have a tendency to get nauseous under the original development kits for Oculus Rift, and the Sony stuff. I felt fine. I know the newer Oculus stuff has come a long way, so you don't have those problems as much. And I have actually my doctor is. She is an avid gamer, and she bought herself a fully decked out rig to be able to do VR. You know, working at WB, we didn't have a lot of VR games. The only VR game that we did was Batman. Arkham Knight. We did an Arkham VR. But that was kind of just a side project that was done by the Rocksteady studio. My name's in the credits for that one too. And I've never actually played it. I have a copy of it in my Steam account on my PC, but I've never actually played it because I don't have the hardware. Oh, that was a dumb one. Yeah, it does. You know, the original Oculus Rift stuff was so bad. I used to screw with people in the office with it. I'd have them put it on, and then I would have them start moving their head. And as they're moving their head, it was the original introduction, which was you're kind of in like a cottage house with a backyard, and to move, you were doing WASD to do the walking. And then if you wanted on the keyboard to move your field of vision, you would use the arrow keys left and right, but you could also just turn your head. And so people would turn their head and look around, and I'm like, okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to turn your head all the way to the right. And then what I would do is I would tell them to start turning their head to the left while I was holding down the right look button. So what I'm doing is I'm telling the computer to start looking to your right, but your head's moving to your left. And if you move at the same rate, your field of vision in front of you didn't change. And people would literally fall over because they're turning their head this way, but what they're looking at is staying, and they would just almost collapse. It was so fun. It was the early office crank. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I will find the right spot, and that's part of what this is about. Is you know, me starting to stream pinball where I'm just I don't really care about the score. I mean, granted, I don't want to embarrass myself, but not really caring about all the perfect technique and all of that here. But it's really about just kind of playing pin and talking to people that play pin and people like yourself who, you know, who sit and talk in the chat and have a conversation, and you know, maybe something will come to, some big idea will come. You know, so out here on the East Coast, most people playing live pin are at Pittsburgh this weekend. Jersey Jack and all of those guys are out there doing the trade show. You know, and all the big streamers are going to be there doing that stuff this weekend. The next show I go to is in Massachusetts. The closest show to my house is only about an hour away from me. It is in Sturbridge, Massachusetts, and it's called Pintastic. It's the last weekend, I think it's the 26th to the 30th this year of June. So it's right before the 4th of July week. And, you know, standard good pinball show. It's, you know, you've got your 250 pin free-to-play room. They have a room full of LEs and that kind of stuff from people's private collections in a more elevated. You have to pay an extra additional entrance fee. They have a nice vendor hall, and they do the you know, the normal you know, the speakers and things, the developer and that kind of stuff. Do their seminars and things. I had actually, you know, I didn't even know it was here until Todd Tuckey in one of his videos actually mentioned that he was going to be presenting there, and I had just had a surgery right before that, and was out on short-term disability for a few weeks, and doctors were telling me I needed to get up and get around and, you know, that kind of stuff, and I was like, all right, well, we're going to try to do this. So we just went for the day, you know, $20 for the day to play unlimited pins. I probably shouldn't have been there because I probably shouldn't have been walking around so much. There's a lot more walking than I thought it was going to be. But I've been going to that show ever since. And last year we got a hotel room and stayed the whole weekend, and had a great time. I did not buy any pins. I almost bought a Houdini, but at the last minute decided against it because I thought that I think it was $7,600 seemed a bit steep for a pinball machine made by a new company. I can't agree with you more that it's a good community. A lot of streamers I've seen in here saying good stuff, giving me pointers, talking about streaming gear and how they have it set up. You know, Delaware was great to chat with last night. He's probably long gone and in bed by now. But you know, I'm hoping that, like Delaware, I go down to Maryland and drive through Delaware a couple times a year. I'm hoping that maybe I can find a spot near him to play some pin and, you know, meet some people outside of the circle here. Let's see how that goes. And Fantastic New England also has the standard pin competitions as well, the tournaments. But I have not done a tournament yet, and you know, I'm still thinking about that. And part of that's because most of the games I play aren't really tournament popular games. Oh, that sucked. So I think this year at Fantastic, I'm gonna spend a lot more time playing all of the machines in the free-to-play room, and not just the ones that I'm interested in. I've always looked at the shows as a way for me to figure out what was the next thing I wanted, or a place where there was all the vendors that had the parts that all the parts that I needed. You know, and those were really the reasons I started going. Besides, I stumbled on it and thought it'd be a good idea. But when last year I played a lot of games, but they were all games that I was like, I want to play this because I want to see if I want to buy it and bring it home. And I think I need to change my methodology a little bit for this year, which is I need to play everything and see what the mechanics are that I might like or not like, or what the manufacturer of the older... I mean, I like Gottlieb EM machines. I think they did a great job in the 70s, and they're... I can't believe I just did that. And they play fantastic. And so, 121 million actually wasn't a bad game. But, you know, I haven't played that many Bally games. I only had one here, and haven't played a lot of the other manufacturers in the old EMs either. So I think I need to play those a little more and see what it is I might like or not like. And I think when I get to that point, I think doing some tournaments or some competitions might be more realistic because, you know, I'll know before standing up to a machine how a Bally EM behaves, or how a Bally of, you know, of a certain generation, you know, how a late 70s, mid 80s machine behaves differently, as opposed to what I want to buy, bring home, and keep forever. Because I think that's why so many people really love Stern, is because there's now a lot of titles in the solid state range, and they play very similar. I mean, when you really look at it, I'll probably get killed for saying this, but when you look at the way that Stern made games for Aerosmith, AC/DC, Metallica, all of those music ones from that generation, the gameplay is very similar. There's a big toy in the middle of the playfield, and one mode, you know, and that's how you get your multi-ball. And one mode does outer loops, and another one does ramps, and another one does this, and so I think the competition people really, you know, kind of just understand it when they walk up to it. They know what it is, and I think I need to get on board with that and just kind of understand how those machines play, so that I can be a little more comfortable with, all right, I know how to make that type of shot on this type of machine, as opposed to this machine, which is, I know how to make every shot on this machine. You know, it's more specific. I need to get a little more general to be able to be competitive, I think. So, I think I'm going to start doing that. Yeah, you like the 70s machine with no ramps? Break shot because it feels classic. Yeah, you know, and you know, some of the 70s mechanics are so interesting. So I have a Pro Football, which is a 1972. It's a single-player Gottlieb machine. It's 5 pins away from us right now, but not long enough that I can grab a camera and go down there and show you. But it's got these really interesting chutes that you push against, and I forget what they're called. And we don't have those in these modern games anymore. Dr. Dude, you owned it for 6 years. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I feel that way about Sopranos. I can get in front of Funhouse I'm not as good at, by the way. But Sopranos and Addams Family, I can pull up to this, and I know my shots, and I feel comfortable. This machine in particular, it's not an accident that I chose this machine to be the first machine that I was streaming with, because of a couple reasons. Number one, it's widely known. Everyone's played this machine, and and part of it is because I know the shot sequences. You know, I know that if I shoot up to the ramp that I just went to, that it's going to fall down there, that it's either going to go down into the bin to get locked for this multi-ball, or it's going to get kicked out. I can hit it with the right upper flipper to either go to the train ramp or the stairs. If I hit one of those, the ball's going to come down here. It's either going to go down these lanes to hit this shot to do that, or go across to hit the swamp. You know, and I've done these routines and these drills over and over and over again because I love this game so much. And, you know, Sopranos is the same way. It's, if I'm in the mood to play a multi-ball, because Sopranos has a great 4-ball multi-ball. If I'm in the mood to play a multi-ball, I know exactly how to get a 4-ball multi-ball basically off my first ball. And, you know, it's, you start a 2-ball multi-ball, you start this mode, and then you which is the bada bing, what the hell is it called? Yeah, I think it's called the Bing multi-ball, actually. I know how I can get that Bing multi-ball to start. You know, you set it up, you do this, you start this, you sink 2 balls into the boat, you get a 2-ball multi-ball. You can do an add-a-ball for a 3rd ball in there if you hit the fish while you're in the 2-ball, and then the whole time you can be lining up the 4-ball multi-ball so that the big multi-ball will start, and bang. You know, I got the mechanics of that. If I want to hit the underboss sub-wizard mode on that game, all I know is I have to do these certain things and keep hitting the safe and keep hitting this. But that's not how you play a competition game. And I guess I have to learn exactly how to do that. Funhouse is really crammed, and I will say the Funhouse is my wife's pinball machine. It's the only machine in the house that is actually what I call hers. I spent $4,000 on that machine for her, and I did want it. I wanted it for a few specific reasons. I do like Pat Lawler playfields, and I do like that game in the fact that I really like the talking dummy Rudy. Twister is a fantastic game. If your wife's listening, she's got great taste. I want a Twister too. But I like the double plungers on Funhouse, but it's a low scoring game. It doesn't have a DMD in it, so it's not particularly interesting. When you're in a mode, you don't feel like you're in a mode, even though they're there. I do like bashing the pinball into Rudy's face. I will tell you that's really why I love the game. A lot of people don't realize this, but Ed Boon, the co-founder, the co-creator of Mortal Kombat, is the voice of Rudy. You have to remember that the studio that Mortal Kombat was made in, which is now called NetherRealm, was originally Midway Games. And so Bally Midway Pinball turned into a slot machine company now. It's now Bally WMS, Williams Midway Systems, I think is actually what it stands for. They make slot machines now. But all of the video game developers at one time or another had done game logic and programming, and Ed Boon was selected to do the voice of Rudy. And so when I was running the back end for Mortal Kombat as the executive director for Warner Brothers, I had talked to Ed Boon on a bi-weekly basis on conference calls, and sometimes you just wanted to throw a pinball in Ed Boon's face. And so the only way I could really bash Ed Boon in the face was to push a pinball at him with Rudy, so I went and bought my wife a Funhouse because she wanted it. As far as a player game, I don't like the game at all. It's a low-scoring game. It's mean. It's not particularly well designed in my mind because I constantly have balls pop off the wire ramps. I have balls drop in places that they shouldn't. So, like, there's one ramp that's supposed to drop, and it consistently outlanes on me. I just, I don't know if it's my game in particular or if that's just the way it is. She loves the damn game, though, and more power to her. I'm glad, but because we bought it. But If I had it my way, there'd be a different one in the collection. Especially now that I don't need to bash Ed Boon in the face anymore. But that one's actually Mike Boon did the software for this game, which is Ed Boon's brother, who still works. Both of them still work for WB Games, and are both really cool people. Ed in particular is a very cool person, and my first boss at WB Games was Alan Villani, who is a guy who was one of the initial developers and one of the first tech directors for Mortal Kombat franchise as well, and helped really drive that game into what it was. So yeah, there's a lot of love in my heart for Ed and Mike Boon games, just because I know them. These machines are actually signed by them down on the apron. I was going out there for a meeting, and instead of bringing the translights, because I was worried about them in my luggage, I brought the aprons off the front and had both of them sign it, because their names are listed on the playfield. And I definitely wasn't taking a playfield in an airplane. And it was just, for me, it was kind of just a little nod as well, because I got to make the joke to Ed himself, and I'm like, you know why I bought this game? It's because when you're being a jerk on conference calls to me, I go home and shoot pinballs at your face, and listen to you say, "Ow, you did that on purpose." You are still listening. Great. So you traded NASCAR for it. Now, I've heard mixed things about NASCAR. NASCAR was one of those Stern games that people either loved it or hated it. It's kind of like Sopranos. You either love it or you hate it. And it was kind of that same generation of systems. I forget what the hell that system was called. I know their new one is Spike or Spark or something like that. But yeah, Twister and Whirlwind both came out around the same time, and I actually like both of them. But I do tend to like movie-themed games, or TV show-themed games. I don't have a single musical-themed pen, which is very interesting because I am totally a music nut as well. Like, if I wasn't unemployed, I would be laying money down for a gold edition Deep Beatles right now, but that's just not happening. A mortgage payment or a pinball machine is what we're looking at, right? Or multiple mortgage payments or a pinball machine. Yeah, so you liked it, but it was a fast-playing game. That's what I've heard. The game that I really I've only seen streamed before at pinball tournaments, like Papa and those type of things when they do their streams. Iron Man, that machine is mean. Oh my god. I can't imagine having that in my house and having my casual friends play a machine like that, you know? It's like, it just eat you alive. Damn magnets are still on. I hate the seance mode. I think everyone hates the seance mode. The other thing I always liked about this game is you can stack modes. That's the other thing. I like games you can stack modes on. Because once you understand the rules, stacking modes is cool. Yeah, missed it. Oh, yeah, that's nice that you traded it back to the original owner. So, yeah, he must have been ecstatic. and Irish Eyes, you liked it because it was different than other pins. And that's a good point as well when you really think about it. Is I know that all of the games have their uniqueness, right? If we went and we compare Aerosmith, AC/DC, and Metallica, let's say, they're all very similar playfield layouts. They're all very similar technology and that kind of stuff. But when you really look at the machines, they're alike, quite a bit alike. And I mean, the reason you buy one of those musical machines is because you're in love with the theme or the band, right? And you want the music. And believe me, I want a Metallica more than anything. Really, I love Metallica. I have since I was a teenager, and the theming's good. The toys are good. But when you really look at those games, they're very similar. I think that's why they're knocking it out. They're going to knock it out of the park with Beatles, is because it is that different. Yeah, do you want to know another one that has a cool racetrack? Is what was the second High Speed game called? It was the original High Speed, and then there was High Speed 2. I don't remember the name of it. It had that really fast cyclone race thing in the middle of it. Great game. Getaway. That's it. Getaway. They had one of those last year. I swear, if I can ever get a deal on one of those, I'm buying that. That's a fun game. Yeah, and that's it. A lot of these machines are just a lot alike, and there's just not a lot of difference in it. And so we had, my wife is a Star Wars and a Star Trek nut, and so she wanted, excuse me, I need to take a sip of something in a minute. She wanted the new Stern Star Wars, and we were looking at them, and we, you've got the Pro, you've got the Premium, and then you have the Limited Edition. And so we looked at the Pro, and the Pro did not have that big spinning ramp in it, which is such a cool part of the game. And then you looked at the Premium, and the Premium, she hated the translite and the artwork on the case. And then you look at the Limited Edition, and it was entirely too much money. And so I finally told her, we need to go someplace and play this. If you're really serious, if you think you want this as a pin in the house, you're going to have to fall in love with it for us to pay that much money for a limited edition pin, right? And so we found some place that had one, and we went, and she hated the damn game. And she hated the game because it didn't have magnets in it. This was the funny part. She literally said, how can you have a game like Star Wars where everything is about the Force and not have put magnets in it? And I think I said this on last night's stream too, because I kind of feel the same way about The Sopranos. Like, Sopranos has this whole... That was dumb luck. Sopranos has this whole area where the pop bumpers where it says shakedown. And I can't believe that you can't put a shaker motor in the game. It should have just came with it. Why would you not have shakedown, right? Yeah, I see that, there's a bunch of them out there for like $3,000. I'm eventually gonna find one at the right time and pick one up. Because it is a really fun game. Getaway's a really good game. I don't think that's on my Pinside wish list, though. I have to look at that. Because I'd prioritize getting a Getaway over something like a Black Hole or any of those. A Black Hole, a Haunted House, any of those. I'd do a Getaway over that. And High Speed was just another one of those games that was in the pinball arcade rooms when I was younger. Just like this was High Speed was another game that was, you know, always in those arcades at the bowling alley back then, and you know, the Getaway game I think is just better than High Speed personally. There we go. Yeah, not too much else going on here. It's a little past 3 in my time, so I'm probably gonna stop in a little bit. I'm getting tired, which is a good thing because I'm gonna have problems sleeping. Just because I'm able to stay up all night. I've been sleeping all day, so today I did not sleep all day. I actually had to run and do some errands. Yeah, it's 2 a.m. where you are. You think you're gonna get to bed too? Yeah, I'm kind of getting there myself. Plus, now all felt told, I have probably played this pinball for like 10 hours in the last 2 days. So. I say that, and then I get a good multi-ball like this. Missing ball, where's the third one? There it is. That shot up, that's okay. Oh, that could have been so epic. You graduate tomorrow. Graduate in what? What have you been working towards? Hope it's something interesting. Biology. Very cool. I have to clean that magnet. Someone needs to remind me to clean that magnet. Damn it. Microbiology. Wow. I'm a math person, you know, computer programming, algorithms, that kind of stuff, but biology and that kind of stuff was never one of my strong points. I mean, I liked it in high school and things, just because it was more tactile and hands-on than other things. I thought chemistry was also interesting in high school, but you know, those were labs, so you know, you're thinking about that. But in college, you know, it was anatomy and physiology, and then that was God, it's been so long I don't even remember, but I think that was it. Yeah, math and science have always been my thing too, but less than the bio, like chemistry and physics is something that I love because it's math and it's really interesting. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, it's the way that our world and our life works as we understand it. I can get pretty woo-woo on social constructs and things. Which I'm going to start documenting on my Facebook or my YouTube page. But you know, everything we do in this world is based on the knowledge that we've figured out from it, and that's what makes science and math and those things so interesting to me. But I've been thinking lately, and I guess I've been getting, you know, like really deep in thought on things. I don't know. I guess that was a pretty good ball, huh? You know, I've been thinking a lot about who writes history and all of that kind of stuff, and how do we learn things, and how do we document, and all of that. And it's this internet age we're in is literally amazing because you know, history has always been created by the victor, if you will. The winners of wars get to write the history of the war, and the people who could write in ancient civilizations are ones who wrote history. And so now we're in an age where all of us get to write this, what will be history. All of us with our blogs and with our streams and all of that are now part of our culture and our history. And I think that's really cool. And if we think about how much we've learned as a society, as a world, as a planet, whatever we want to call it, in the last, in this computer age, which is really only 50, 60 years old, you know, 100 years ago we didn't have telephones, and now we're transmitting video across lines. We're still not to the point of sci-fi yet, where we've got flying cars and everything, but we've come so far, and I think we're coming a lot further. And it's cool to be part of being able to write history. All right, I'm going to another game. And yeah, you guys do need to go to bed if you're graduating. And congratulations again. I mean, that's a huge achievement. And I don't know how old you guys are. But college ain't easy. I know, I've thought of going back. 35, yeah, so you guys are, my wife's 35, I'm 42, so we're in the same age category. Yeah, and going back to school at that age takes a lot of dedication, so really my hat's off to you on that. I've thought about going back for an MBA, because I think really if I wanted to go beyond a director management position and move to that VP or C level, I'm going to need an MBA. And, I've often thought about how to do it, and there's a million excuses of why I haven't. That was a wasted ball. Might be one more game after this. And so there's a million excuses not to do something. I watch a lot of like Shark Tank and Marcus Lemonis, the TV show The Prophet, because I am part owner in a. Ironically, I also watch Gordon Ramsay and Robert Irvine and some of those bar rescue shows and those other things too, because I'm part owner in a board game gastropub. So I own about 40% of a restaurant pub, and that, you know, it's a board game themed. TheAdventurePub.com if you want to take a look at it. The website's horrible. Go to our Facebook group; it's much better. A lot more pictures of our food. Our food's fantastic. At any rate, I watch a lot of CNBC with, you know, Shark Tank and those types of shows. Marcus Lemonis is a very good businessman who I really like his the nuts and bolts approach to how he handles people and process and products and integrating everything together. I think he's brilliant. The way that he presents it to people is just none of his ideas are new. Everybody knows, you know, this is the way you should run a business, and this is how you look at things, especially from a outsider's consulting perspective. But the way that he interacts with employees and things is just brilliant. And so I watched that. And lately they've been, Acorn has been doing a lot of commercials with the stars of those shows, talking about invest in you. And so many of us don't invest in ourselves. We invest in our homes, we invest in these things, but we don't take the time to stop and go back to college, or in a full load college curriculum like you just did, Irish Eyes, is intense. And I don't think all of us can do that, but I think you need to go to seminars. I think you need to challenge yourself and take a college course at a community college here and there, and at least have something that you're doing to better yourself and learn some new things. But it all depends what you do for a living and what you want to do. And so where I am, you know, I've got some small businesses that none of them make any money, by the way, so I still need a full-time job. But, you know, I need to invest in those because I need to be the person in those organizations that brings the new ideas in and challenges the staff. So I think I might have to start working towards an MBA, but then I'm like, if I start working towards it, maybe I won't be done until I'm 10 years from now, which is 52, and then what's the use in that? So I toy with that, but I think I need to start taking some courses here and there. So you'll eventually go back for your master's and PhD, but you want to get your hands dirty. Yeah, and that's a good thing too. We at WB a few years ago, one of the groups, there was a development manager that they hired who was fresh out of school. He, went the more traditional route, did his college, got a job someplace, and then went back to school to get his MBA. And his real life experience in people management was really limited. But he had an MBA, so he was the smartest person at that table, if you know what I mean. And so a lot of his employees were not happy because he didn't have enough battle scars to know how to deal with different personality types. And that's one of the things that they'll never teach you in any MBA program or any college. You know, they never teach you the interpersonal relationships and the office politics and really how to communicate with people who are from all different walks of life. I was fortunate. I spent 10 years in the National Guard, and I got to deal with a lot of different personalities at a lot of different levels. A lot of people who thought they deserved respect because of rank, and a lot of people who didn't get respect because they didn't have rank, and then a lot of people who had a lot of rank that I respected quite a bit. And it really taught me how to deal with personality types and how you approach people and that kind of stuff. And so I think your approach of, you should continue, developing yourself and everything, but you need to have some battle scars if you want people to really respect you, because at the end of the day, what they teach in the textbook is only about 60% of what you need. The rest of it you got to figure out on your own. I'm fortunate to live here in southern New Hampshire, and I was working in Massachusetts for Warner Brothers. I was fortunate when I worked for Warner Brothers. I should never have left. I'll say that again. We had a good continuing education program, and so there was a few $1,000s a year set aside for me to go to courses, seminars, conferences, that kind of stuff. And one year, I took a great course at Harvard Extension. So Harvard University has a excuse me, I gotta take my allergy pill. Allergies up in this part of the country are horrible right now. And so Harvard University has has what's called Harvard Extension, which is a school that is more geared towards working people, full-time professionals, as well as people who are, just looking for some continuing ed courses or something like that. And I was fortunate enough to get into a class called Managing Yourself and Others. And it was a 2-day intensive class. They do the course as well as part of a career curriculum for an MBA program that they have there at Harvard Extension as well. But I was fortunate to take, it might have been 3 days. It's been a few years. I'll get the extra ball. Give me a second. So I was fortunate enough to get that as my continuing education for a year, for one of the years I worked there. And it was very interesting that the course started out with, before you went, you had to take a Myers-Briggs, which is, pretty standard. All those types of courses want to talk about personality types. And, you know, creative people and the analytical people and all that, which is fascinating. The way people's minds work is interesting. But right after they got through the first half day of the Myers-Briggs stuff, I'm Italian, I talk with my hands, they started talking about how think of a person that you've worked with in the past, you know, that you admired, that you worked with or for, and what were their personality traits. And you got a stack of Post-its, and you were told, you know, come up with 5 to 7 descriptive words that describe, you know, what you respected that person for. And then they segmented the board into 3 columns. One of them was technical ability. The other one was education, you know, pedigree type stuff. And the last one was soft skills. And, you know, I thought about this, and I'm looking. They didn't draw those before. You know, they did it after you wrote the 7 or so things. And so I'd written down 7 things about a major that I had worked for in the National Guard that I respected quite a bit. And because I worked there full time for 2 years. And so when they put those columns on, I walked up and I was like, okay, soft skills, soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. Everybody was the same, though. Everybody was all about the soft skills, the interpersonal relationships, the, you know, the way that they talk to people. So it's just so important that you go out and get those scars and you figure out how people think and you figure out how to work with people to get the best out of them and the best out of yourself. Yeah, and you know, it's when you say about even if you never use your degree, that's one of the things also that I've always found fascinating is the amount of people who don't use their degree. And I'm gonna try not to keep you guys up much longer, so I'm gonna stop soon. But one of the things I've heard is so many people with college degrees don't work in the field that they went to school for. And I feel us in the U.S., we've done a huge disservice to our high school students by telling them they need to leave high school and go right into college. Because, I mean, I'm not doing all what I thought I was going to be working in television and as an electrical engineer when I left high school. And here I am doing software and running some small businesses. So, you know, when they say people completely change career fields at least 3 or 4 times in their lifetime. So I've always thought ever since then that it's better to kind of go out in the workplace and be miserable for a couple of years and figure out what you want to do rather than just go get a college degree and hope that you enjoy what you picked. Now in your case, I hope you really enjoy biology, because now you've probably got a bunch of student loan debt from it. My wife's 35, and we're still paying off her student loan. I was fortunate enough to pay off mine. Yeah, I mean, the good thing with me is electrical engineering. You know, was what I really wanted a degree in, and it's not really what I do. But it's software is a hop, skip, and a jump. Computer science is a hop, skip, and a jump from that, anyways. So I don't feel like I wasted my time, which is good. But I got so many friends that are just doing completely the opposite of what they thought they were going to do, and one of my friends from high school, Leslie, she went to UMaine at Orono for environmental engineering, and she ended up becoming a civil engineer. But when she picked environmental engineering, I remember asking her, "How did you pick that?" And she's like, "Well, I want to be an engineer, and it sounded interesting in the brochure." And I was like, "You literally looked at your college catalog and you went, I want to do environmental engineering." Now, a really bright girl, so no doubt she was going to be great at whatever she did. But she ended up doing civil engineering and traffic studies and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Really fascinating math and things. I just, you know, well, I want to be an engineer, so I'm going to go pick environmental. Okay. I get it. So, I think I'm probably going to finish this game up and call it a night. It's 3:30. According to this, I don't know if this is... Oh, I can't look. Kick out from the swamp. Oh! You almost moved up that ramp. And you drained already. Oh, well, good. That means the magnets will turn off. Let's see. Yeah, 3:30 our time. Oh, another extra ball? So I have the Gold Edition chipset in this, which adds a few things, including this random extra ball that Cousin It gives to you once in a while. Once in a blue moon. It's very infrequent, but this game may never end. Yeah, it was nice chatting with you as well. Thanks for hanging out. I'll be around. I'll be late night streaming usually, and you guys are more on the West Coast, so we'll probably see quite a bit of each other. So you have a good night, and have a great graduation tomorrow. One of you go where I want you to go. Right there. That's what I wanted. And another extra ball. So I got two back. And I'm still in the middle of a multi-ball. But I can hit that jackpot shot. Stay out of the way for a second. Oh, drained. Damn it. I was hoping I could hit that jackpot shot again. Because that's another one that's in my routine, is to go from here up into that chute, hit it with the side flipper. It really goes like this. You do this, then you do that. Oh, a little too early. No tour of the mansion tonight. It's probably not unusual. I don't tour the mansion every time that I do this, but I mean, I've just done 6 hours at least on this machine in the last 2 days, and no tour of the mansion. I think the next time I play this, I'm going to put a little goal sheet together of what we want to achieve and see how far we get. You know, I did get 99 bear ramps once. That was a goal I had. The 3 and the 4, this machine's a little off kilter, so I do have to fix that probably realistically before I can actually do it. But my wrists are starting to hurt. Unfortunately, tomorrow is not a pinball stream night. It will be a poker night, and I still haven't figured out how to do a poker game for a Twitch stream. So I've got to do a little thinking on that, see what I can do to make that happen. Thing is my feet are hurting because the carpet in my basement is cheap ass carpet, And to add insult to injury, it's brown cheap ass carpet. Oh, Seance. Knock 3 times.
Knock 3 times.
Problem with the Seance mode is I don't like the flashing lights. I mean, the magnets are annoying, yes, but it's really the pulsating lights that do the strobe effect that makes it hard for me to see the ball. I know Pin Stadium's got some great lighting stuff. That's the problem I have with Sopranos as well, is the GI light just blinks and flashes through parts, and it is just not, it's not great. Oh, God, I just jinxed myself. I just said that I was just about to say that, wow, this is a good store considering I have 2 balls back, but I just drained that ball. Now, my highest score, I don't know where I'm at. So let me see. I got 237 right now. Probably have no extra balls left. Oh, God, no. This isn't even close. I'm going to eventually reset the high scores on this machine because they're reasonably unobtainable unless you're the person who owns it. Alright, so I get a spotted mansion at 25 ramps. I don't think I'm going to get that far. I'm pretty tired. Oh, another extra ball. Damn, now I got to nail that. So I can tour the mansion. So if I get an extra ball, I'll tour the mansion. Watch this. 22. Yeah. Alright, if I want to tour the mansion, I need to start not shooting stuff on the upper part of the playfield and start focusing on shooting that. This is a quick multi-ball. I should have done a long shot on it. Alright, just keep this ball in play. That's all you have to do. There we go. That's fine. Right, stop shooting up there. I know, I'm trying to backhand it in there, but it's not going. It's being, oh, that could have been good. There we go. Alright, graveyard at max, loop ramp, get it back in there toward the mansion. Life is good. Well, so there we go. And another extra ball. Now I think the special's an extra ball on this too, which is insane because the only way you can get the special is to drain. So you're draining to get an extra ball, which is kind of weird. That makes 2 back. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but I've never been too impressed with the wizard mode on this. It's kind of boring. Because I don't have to hit anything to keep moving through all these modes. They just do. All I have to do is keep the ball in play. I'm just gonna rest for a second, guys.
Knock 3 times.
Oh, right down the middle. Took a rest for a second to let that mode finish. Thought I could get it up the ramp with the seance. I'm wrong. It's gonna be a good score though. You can't take it with you. Alright. I think I have one back after this. Let's see where we at. 352. No, we're not going to get a high score on my machine tonight, but still a good game for a stream, considering I've been playing for 6 hours. And there it was. I did get a tour of the mansion on my stream, which is cool. And I'm hoping the stream's getting recorded. Because it's 3:38 p.m. and I'm tired. You need to get some calories in. Do it again. Quick, multi-ball. That's a good score. So I still see I have viewers on. I don't know what you guys are doing. You're not chatting with me. I'll sit here and talk to myself playing the game. Hope you're really enjoying the stream. Hope you're enjoying the wonderful tour of the mansion there. That's not a common thing. If you know the machine, you know, not something that happens every day. Oh, wouldn't it be awesome if I nailed that in a second? Yeah, let's do that. Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no. Okay. Damn it. I didn't want it to go that way. Why are you going down the diverter? You had no reason to do that. I wanted you to come across so I could get the extra ball, right? Right. This is gonna be like an 8-ball fucking game. I'm sorry. 8-ball deluxe. 3-ball. Oh! Alright, that was a good save. That one was close. Alright, I got magnets on. So, this is gonna be a have to warm up so I can kill you, right? Guess not. It's interesting that it's the Showtime one because it locks all the balls on one side. them in play. Come on. Keep them in here. Okay. Yeah. That one's gone. Oh, I just totally Daria'd. Oh my god, I don't know if you saw that. I just totally did a Daria. If you don't know what a Daria is, in the beginning of the TV show on MTV, Daria, beginning during the opening, the volleyball's coming, and she's on the volleyball team, and she just kind of goes like this, and misses it after the ball. It already went by, she raised her arm. Which is what I did there. I had a flipper that I could have flipped. I did not flip it. I did a Daria. Now, I am still on ball 3. I don't know if I have one more extra ball back. I think this might be the end of my balls. I am playing a very good game toward the mansion. Got a 3-way combo and a 4-way combo, which I never get 3 and 4-way combos. Those are very rare for me to even remember that those shots are there. And I've been streaming for about 4 hours now, and this is the best game in 4 hours. But I streamed for another 3 hours earlier, so I think I've streamed 5 hours. Oh, that was it. Alright, I'm done. Alright, everybody see it. Let's see. I don't think it made top list. 485. No, I was so close. I could have done another 15. I don't know what the high scores are. I know the high score, and they're all mine. But I think my high score is 750 something on this machine. It's the highest score I've ever gotten, actually. So 485. How far away was I? 731. Yeah, 731 is my high. And then if we look down the list, 655, 635, and these are rare. 531. I could have got 531. I was only about 45 million away. Which on this machine isn't that bad. So, all of the talking to people have drained out of chat. It's 3:45 my time. I've streamed for a few hours earlier tonight, and then this stream was another. I started back up. It was right around midnight, so it's at least another 3.5, almost 4 hours. So. Pinball is not video games, guys, so it's not as easy. My heels are starting to hurt because I'm wearing slippers, and the carpet down here has really shitty padding, and so my feet and back are going to start hurting. My feet are hurting, my back is going to start hurting, so I think I'm going to call it a night. So it's so glad you could all join me tonight. Big shout out to all of you guys who subscribed, and all the new followers. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I've only been streaming for a total of about 24 hours now, and so it's great to have as many followers as I do already. Love the pinball community. Love you guys, and hope to keep streaming and having great conversations with you through chat and while playing pins. And so I think if I don't tear the stream rig down, I think I'm gonna I might tear it down tomorrow to do some streaming of a poker game. I have a poker game at my house every 2 weeks with some close friends of mine. Really low money cash game. It's literally a 10-20 cent ante. And it's perfectly legal in New Hampshire to have home cash poker games, which is pretty cool. So probably might try to stream that. Haven't come over the barrier of how I'm going to show you guys what's in everybody's hands without anyone else at the table knowing. So need to figure that out. So it might not happen tomorrow. If it doesn't, I'll probably stream Addams Family again this coming week, maybe Sunday or Monday. I do have some meetings on Monday or Sunday. And I think I'll move over to Sopranos after that. And then I think I'm going to move down to Rack 'em Up. But I'm going to post for feedback and maybe get some Discord chat or something going. And we'll go from there. So I want to thank everybody for coming online and watching and chatting and talking about all sorts of stuff, and hope that I can make some new friends and hopefully get some other people streaming with us and having some fun. So thanks again. Have a good night, guys.